The Smurfs have been around for nearly 70 years, and today we draw Smurfette in 4 incredible styles. The styles that we have today are realistic, horror, cartoon, and bubbles. Let's start off with the cartoon effect. For the cartoon style, I immediately thought of the 1980s cartoon style that we see here. It's a little slice of my childhood, and it feels like a perfect place to start. Not only is it a simple, bold color, but it also just gives us the perfect colors that we need going forward to make sure that we're representing Smurfette correctly. Now, I did add a couple of more layers than I normally would for a cartoon effect, especially for such a retro cartoon effect, but that's just because I wanted to feel a little bit more three-dimensional and not so flat against all the other styles. With some bold black outlines, we're just about complete as we now head on over to the realistic side. For the realistic side, I harken back to the 2011 and 2013 films of the live-action Smurfs. I feel like they look a little bit more realistic and look a little bit more grounded within a three-dimensional space. Not to say that the new Smurf movie doesn't have that same feel, but it's a little bit more cartoony in this newer iteration, and the older one kind of looks a little bit more like it would fit in a realistic environment. To get these really smooth transitional blends, I'm using primarily alcohol markers. I'm going to work gently over the top with a little bit of color pencil, but not too much. Because it has such a soft feature, it almost has a little bit of a translucence to it, I really want to make sure that you can really get all those nice blends, and the best way to do it is with an alcohol marker. Not to say you can't do it with a color pencil, you absolutely can, it would just take significantly longer. As you can see, look at how long it's taking to get all that wonderful detail in the eye. You will get so much more detail with colored pencils, it's just the amount of time and effort that you put into it. Now you might be thinking to yourself, James, why are you doing the realistic second? Don't you want to do realistic last? Well, normally yes I do, but I feel like I want to showcase something really cool at the beginning of this video. I want to give you a reason to kind of stick around, because when you see the horror and when you see the bubbles, you are absolutely going to flip, and I think you're just going to love the way all of them come out. A really good tip for if you're trying to get nice hair textures and how to get realistic hair is work with a nice light tone and then progressively work over with darker hues. So as you can see, this is where I will take my color pencils and gently fold in all these little stray hairs and all these little depth lines. This is how you're going to get all of that wonderful little richness within the hairs and that beautiful sweeping hair that Smurfette has. I'm coloring the cap in very lightly because it's not the focal point. It's white and you just want the essence of the shadow just to kiss right through. You don't want it to be too dark, you want it to be represented, but not too much. With the realistic side complete, it's on to the bubble side. And for the bubble side, it's a really simple effect. Basically, I'm going to give it an impressionistic color or a semi-realistic coloring, but then we're going to add all these wonderful little bubbles and it's going to make it look like you're seeing her through a series of bubbles, like when you were a kid and you just blow bubbles across the sky. This drawing really brings me back to a part of my childhood when I would play the Smurfs on ColecoVision and the Atari 2600. It's just a really kind of fun, nostalgic event to kind of relive over as I'm drawing this. If you want to try this effect out at home, I would highly recommend that you just kind of sketch out the bubbles first, then use a paint pen to kind of outline the third of the bubble, not the full accent of the bubble, because where we're going to highlight is on the other side of the bubble itself. And with the bubble effect complete, yes, I said bubble a lot, it's time to move on to the horror. Now for the horror, you might be thinking, oh, he's going to do something really creepy, really gory, super awesome. I'm going to take it back a little bit. I'm going to keep it in that cartoon style, and I'm going to pay an homage to the early 1980s cartoons, and I'm going to do the goblins from the show. The goblins were a minor bad guy in the show, and at one point the Smurfs were themselves transformed into goblins, so I wanted to kind of harken back to that, give it a similar cartoon style, because goblins can be creepy and have a little bit of a horror side to them. Now, I know you might be thinking, why not just do evil Smurfette? And I could have done that, but to me that's just like a really easy cop-out. Let's just make her a gothy, creepy girl and then just add some grayscale, some black, and call it a day. But there's no fun to that, there's no creativity. A lot of times when you do art, you need to think about the intention behind it. Whenever I'm doing any of these 4 different styles drawings, I kind of have an idea of what I want the overall composition to look like, and I also want it to look like a fun, unique character, something that doesn't look like anything, and can sometimes look like a really cool amalgamation, and sometimes it can look like nightmare fuel. But either way, I want it to look fun and inventive and creative. That's what keeps the concept of art going. Otherwise, you can just get really bored out really fast, and you're just gonna get burned out before you know it. Finishing up some last minute coloring on the eye, and we're just about ready to call this piece complete. Let me know what you guys think. What's your favorite section? Let me know in the comments. I always appreciate having you guys on, and as always, I'll see you all in the next video.